variability problems, some managerial insights. This segment is not a summary, but it is just pointing out several observations for variability problems that relate to both problems of waiting time and problems of throughput loss. Generally, the recommendation for all variability problems, the main recommendation is to try and reduce variability whenever possible. If you don't have variability, all the problems that we've discussed in the last two topics disappear. If you have less variability, all the problems will be less severe, right? Less throughput loss, less average waiting time. And the second thing is we need to create robust processes that will accommodate as much of the remaining variability as possible. So the second thing can be, of course, achieved by using appropriate buffers, right? So, for example, we should protect resources from variability and add buffers, especially protect the bottleneck, always feed the bottleneck activity and guard against blocking it or starving it. So this is a very good case to use inventory before and after sufficiently large, but also don't create too much inventory, because remember, inventory is a tied up capital and it can hide quality problems. Keep track of demand, especially in case of throughput losses. It is not that easy, right? If you have customers who renege, right? A common mistake is for managers is to use flow rate, which is effectively sales, and utilization, which is flow rate over capacity, when talking about capacity decisions, right? However, utilization always gives you an impression that the capacity is sufficient, because utilization will always be one or less. Whereas what matters is really implied utilization, right? And if you maybe experience much more demand, but most of it is lost, you might not even realize how much opportunity loss you're experiencing. And the last point is to use background work. When you have a lot of idle time, whether it is necessary or to reduce waiting time or to avoid throughput loss, you can try and use the idle time in a productive manner. For example, you can use this time to to run some less time critical work, right? So, for example, um, a call center which receives phone calls from customers might do outgoing calls when there is a lot of resources that are idle. This, of course, has to be carefully organized in order not to hurt the main operation. So, for example, if you have 30 servers working in parallel and then suddenly 10 of them are idle, you shouldn't ask all 10 operators to start making outgoing calls. Perhaps it would be prudent to just ask 5 of them to start making outgoing calls, because the demand can pick up at any time, and then you might prefer to keep some servers idle, not use all of them for outgoing calls, right? Unless, of course, you can use some kind of background work which can be stopped. So, for example, for those call center employees, you might have another work like clerical work or some reporting that they need to do, that they can do this, and then they can stop it at any moment in time in case a customer calls. And this could be a background work that would better utilize the time of resources, and at the same time not interfere with the time critical work, like that is in this case answering phone calls of customers who call the call center.